All right, it is 11 o'clock and we're going to go ahead and get started. Good morning and welcome to the February EP&R Lunch and Learn. Today's topic is protecting lives in a disaster with HHS emPOWER Emergency Response Outreach Dataset, presented by Justin Crow, Foresight and Analytics Coordinator, Office of Emergency Preparedness. I'll turn it over to Justin.
Thank you, Donald, and thanks everyone for joining us today. Yes, I'm going to be, I'm Justin Crow, obviously Donald mentioned Foresight and Analytics Coordinator with the Office of Emergency Preparedness. I'm going to be discussing some work we've done with the HHS emPOWER data. A lot of the work is also performed by my colleague, Alex Telionis, who is our public health modeling analyst in the same office. So glad to have you here today. All right, so what is the HHS emPOWER data set? This is a data set shared with us to help us identify Medicare beneficiaries with recent claims for electric-dependent durable medical equipment, oxygen-dependent durable medical equipment at home, which includes at-home dialysis care, and as well as some home health and hospice care as well. These are recent claims made within the past few months, and the HHS team provides this data at a variety of levels. They have public data sets that are at the county and zip code level, and they also, during disaster, can provide us with individual lists of folks, which I'll talk about a little bit later. For that public data, HHS does have an online map, and you can see the link to that map at the bottom of the image to the right. As I mentioned, it displays the data at the county and zip code level. And it also allows you to overlay a set of hazards over that map. So if you see the map on the right, we have the county level electric dependent DME counts by county, and then we've overlaid the probability of at least 4 inches of snow, and this is from earlier this week. So the snow we expected, I believe it was Tuesday, it was when it snowed. It seems like a week ago. But you can see that overlay there. That can help you kind of understand where your risk might be for power outages and folks who would need outreach for medical equipment. For those of you who might be more technically savvy, they also have a REST service, which allows you to download GIS shape files and to create your own maps using those, or to create your own maps in Esri's ArcGIS Living Atlas as well. So they have that service available for those public use maps. They also send us monthly a public de-identified data set, which if you're interested in receiving that as well. It's still the data aggregated at the county and the zip code level, but they send us an Excel file with that data in it. So you can reach out to me if you're interested in that. We use that when we do have winter storms or tropical storms or anything else that might cause power outages. We use that with some data we pull from a company called poweroutage.us that aggregates power outage information from a variety of different service providers to create maps and overlays. And we can also look at water outages or different hazards as well. So we had a water outage in Richmond last month, and we use that as well. So I'm going to pull up really quickly. This map that I have here is older data, and I'm going to pull up the map I created this morning for our winter storm that is creating widespread power outages today. So this is what it looks like in real time. This is all only using the de-identified aggregate count. So we're able to share this here. And what you're looking at, I'm going to start with the table on the right here. You can see we have the counties listed, the number of customers tracked here, the share of those customers without power, and then we have a column with at-risk individuals. In this case, it's people who use any electric durable medical equipment. And then we just basically multiply the share out with the at-risk individuals to get an expected number of at-risk within each county. That assumes random distribution of power outages and random distribution of people, of at-risk individuals among those customers. That's probably not the case, but this gives us an idea of what we we might expect as far as people at risk with needs. The map, we have counties here, and we also have these circles, which are sized by the number of at-risk individuals in the counties, and then both of those are colored by the share out. So you can see here, Floyd matching the table has a large share of folks out. We about 336 individuals, and we would expect about 301 of them to be without power. All told, this morning we had close to 5,000 at-risk individuals who might have an outage. So that helps with planning and kind of understanding situational awareness with what's going on. And I will get back to the presentation real quick. All right, and the bulk of the meeting today, what I'm going to be discussing is what's called the Emergency Response Outreach Dataset. And this is something that we are able to pull during an emergency with individual level data. So with the individual data, of course, that includes HIPAA protected personal identifiable information and personal health information. It includes a name and an address, phone and email, demographic information such as race and ethnicity and age group, and then the specific medical equipment that sparked the claim that got it included within the data set. So the specific durable medical equipment that's used. This data set is only available during an emergency and then for specific areas that are affected by the emergency as well. So access is pretty tightly controlled and tracked by HHS and by ourselves. All data and all products must be deleted after use or after 30 days. I don't know. It doesn't include languages spoken. It would include information that's generally available from a beneficiary claim, and I don't believe that language spoken is included on that. Sorry, I just saw the question pop up in the chat there. I could double check that, but I don't recall seeing language in there. And the way we use it for wellness checks by local emergency services and public health outreach teams, able to check by phone or by email or by going door to door. Real quick, are there any questions about the emPOWER data sets or the HHS outreach data set specifically? All right, jump ahead. So what I'm going to show you today is some of the work that my colleague Alex does using ArcGIS to work with this emPOWER program data during an emergency to assist with that outreach. Specifically, some work that we did during Helene to help with outreach and that we can do in future emergencies as well. Now, I do want to mention that all the data that you see for the rest of the report is going to be fake data. It says fake data right there. Whenever I'm creating a fake data set with individuals, I usually pull the Buffalo Bills football roster. So that's what you see here today. You might recognize 2024 MVP Josh Allen up there. If you watch a lot of football, you might recognize some of the other names, but that's what that is. We do have a fake data set here, but we do use I created a data set with addresses, some real addresses, so we can make real maps. The addresses were selected for the city of Richmond, which basically what I did is I just went through Google Maps and selected some random houses and added the address in there. So all of those are covered. Whenever you see the Buffalo Bills logo, that's what that is. That is the covered addresses being blocked out. But all the data going forward is fake as well. Since we use real addresses, I don't want you trying to show up at someone's house and get Josh Allen's signatures. That's what that is. We do use network analysis in Esri ArcGIS Pro to create these maps that you're going to see. And what that does is it allows us to create maps with real routing information, including bridge overpasses and direction, one-way streets, and whether an intersection can turn or not. A lot of times you see street maps, there's just a lot of road crossings, so there's a lot to really understand how the network actually works for that. So that's what network analysis does. And we also use, I want to give some credit here to a lot of credit actually to the Virginia Geographic Information Network from the Virginia Department of Emergency Management. We use their specific routable road centerline data when we're performing this analysis. So that's very helpful information for us. All right, so this is our fake data, just a simple map that we created of our Buffalo Bills roster here, where they would live in Virginia if they're in Richmond, if our data set was real. But that's just a map showing where they are throughout Richmond. We can also create a map that breaks it out by the types of needs. So you see we have a need that requires bottled oxygen. That is the little kind of blue bottle. Requires electrical dependent, sort of that looks like a castle to me, but it's a little electricity symbol. And then a little heart symbol that require both. So kind of understand our needs. And then we use our network analyst tool to create different routes. This would be for outreach folks. Usually a phone call or an email will do, but if we have a situation like Helene where there's a lot of damage to cell service, there's not much internet service available, we'd obviously want to send folks door to door to do those wellness checks. So this is a map that Alex created for 3 routes. The average travel time is about 55 minutes per team, and then we assume about 20 minutes per stop to create 4-hour, we usually look to create about 4-hour routes for folks for kind of shift work. A route in the morning, a route in the afternoon is what we worked on. Of course, we can change that based on need. We can also create different routes for the number of teams. So if there are 5 outreach teams, we can create 5 different routes. And you see here the same kind of information with 5 routes. And what we would actually give to our outreach team is a map with a specific route. Each team would get a map and then a list of stops in order. So the stops are covered up here. The list would include the travel time, estimated duration of visits, and then can vary by need. And then, of course, we can include any specific data on needs by patient as well. And in those situations, like I mentioned with Helene, where we don't have cell service, I think in most cases, people would just want to put the addresses in their phones and follow the route. But if we don't have that available, we can create a cue sheet for your route showing all of the different steps you would need to take to get from location to location. So pretty handy tool with that VGIN, road center lines and network analysts. All right, some additional capabilities that we have. We can create multiple staging areas. The other maps I showed you had all of our routes originating from just the VDH central office. This one uses some local VDH offices so that teams can start from different areas. You can see that we have a local health district in East Highland, a local health district out on the west end here, and then one down on the south side of Richmond and Manchester. Routes associated with those. And we can also use road outages, any road outage or flooding information to create routes based on those. So in this example, Alex just used the 100-year flood estimates from FEMA. And we assume that any road that was flooded that would be in those 100-year flood zones was inaccessible and closed. So you can see there are different routes using the different starting points in Highland Park, the East End, and Manchester here. None of them cross the river because obviously that would be within the flood area in this case. And of course, one of our addresses is inaccessible as well. So we definitely want to make sure we're supporting outreach to that household. All right, and we can also take that same power outage data now and overlay it with our routes to kind of understand where we might want to prioritize. So just looking at this route 1 and route 2, we can see there's a higher degree of percent without power on the south side here. So we want to prioritize this route, route 1 here over route 2. Now I do want to caveat this, different power companies provide their outage data at different levels. So Appalachian Power does provide zip code level power outage data, whereas Dominion Power only provides county level outage data. That's available for us to download and provide in a map like this. So this is just some made up outage numbers by zip code that I included here. But in areas served by Appalachian Power, we could definitely do the zip code level mapping for power outage. So that's kind of what we did during Helene. We also did it a little bit in this past winter storm. Most of the outreach there was able to be done by phone or email. So we did institute some post-Helene improvements to our process. That was the first time we used this in this way was during Helene. So we've at this point taken those workflows that we kind of made up on the fly, and we're working on automating those to speed production. It does take some time to create these products. We are able, usually if we see something like a winter storm or a tropical storm coming, we're able to request the data and get it ahead of time. The turnaround time, we expect once we do an outreach to HHS could be up to 24 hours, usually shorter if we're able to do it during working hours on a weekday type thing. On a weekend, it might take 24 hours. And then to create those products, probably for each county, it probably takes about 4 or 5 hours. At this point, we found some ways to kind of speed that up based on the number of counties that we would have to do. We are also creating job aids to make sure this is repeatable. We don't want it all to be an Alex's hedge. He's very smart and very on the ball when we need stuff from him, but we obviously can't count on that all the time. And we've also centralized all of our emPOWER activities in the foresight and analytics unit, which is our unit here. So this allows us to just better track where the data is and who's using it, since it does need to be very closely tracked. And we've centralized data sharing, tracking, and deletion in a secure and a SharePoint folder. We are trying to improve our access to road closure and power outage data sets. We know those data sets are out there, but we're trying to access very specific shape files that are developed, make sure we can use those. And doing this type of outreach to emergency managers to make sure that they know this is available. And we're also thinking about weighted routes using social determinants or the chance of a power outage to help just kind of improve those. Make sure improve our chances of getting to homes that need help, as opposed to homes that are don't have a power outage or are better able to manage such a thing. All right. I also want to take a minute just to mention our weekly situation update that we create here in the Foresight and Analytics unit. We put this out every Friday. It's designed to keep the emergency preparedness community in Virginia informed of things that are happening or things that might be happening in the upcoming weeks that might trigger activity on their part. We focus on emergency support function 8, which is health and medical, but we cover a wide variety of things. You can see on the left here, this is the first page. We usually have about 3 pages of our December 6th one. We covered, this map, the middle map, or I guess the top map is fire potential. We had some windy conditions and dry conditions that increase the fire potential, as well as a respiratory disease map. We tend to cover whatever seasonal illnesses or anything that we're monitoring, such as the mpox. We're looking specifically at clade 1 mpox now, and the HPAI bird flu situation as well. We cover every week, and then we usually have a spotlight and another news section. This week's spotlight was on FEMA's 2050 strategic foresight. So if you're interested in getting that, please reach out to myself or Alex, and we can add you to the list for that. And I will mention also, we are working on for the HHS emPOWER data set. If you want to reach out for the individual level data set during an emergency, we're working on a form in Miyoshi request form for that, but that is not live yet. In the meantime, if you're interested in using that data set during an emergency, please reach out to your local emergency coordinator, your regional emergency coordinator, or to myself or Alex directly, and we can help you with that. And that is all I have for you today. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Feel free to unmute yourself and ask any questions if you have any. Well, hearing no questions, Jasmine said thank you, Justin. Hearing no questions, that concludes this month's EP&R Lunch and Learn. And again, I want to thank Justin Crow for taking time out of his busy schedule to present. And you've got his name and his colleague's name. If you have any other questions regarding emPOWER data following this presentation, feel free to reach out to him. And again, thank you for your participation this morning. Have a good day.
Thank you.
There is a question in the chat from Ann.
Okay, just came in. Sorry, can't unmute. Did you use MRC or CHW or just EMS to do outreach?
So I know in one instance we used EMS was used. So, and I say we, that process is managed by folks on the ground locally. So the only one I'm aware of was using EMS, but I'm sure they're during Helene. I'm not sure who was doing that outreach. It might have been MRC. It might have been some of the public health folks. I'm just not sure.
Any other questions for Justin? Did coordination with you go through local EOCs, ESF 8 desk, or other?
We coordinated with the local emergency coordinator, so that would be the local EOC.
Any other questions? All right. Well, again, I want to thank Justin. Thanks for the questions. And again, if you have any other questions that come to mind after this presentation, don't hesitate to reach out to Justin or Alex. And that concludes this EP&R Lunch and Learn. Again, thanks everyone for their participation. Have a good day.